I want to thank you guys and welcome to today's State of the County Forum. I appreciate everyone coming. So it's my distinct pleasure. I was supposed to be announcing Diana Helm, the owner of Terra Casa and used to be the mayor of Damascus, who was a member of our Government Affairs and Public Policy Committee, but she had to take someone to the hospital. So I picked one of our friends, Donna Baton, who is a previous chair of the North Clackamas Chamber, is on our executive committee, the owner of Milwaukee Floors and More, to come on up.
Hi, good afternoon. So happy to see such a full house today. We're happy to have you all here. Thank you for joining us. So at this time, I would like to ask all of the currently elected officials in our room to stand up and be recognized, please. Thank you all. Thank you for your service to our community every day. We appreciate you. Okay, I'm going to invite the commissioners up to the stage now. We have a Commissioner Chair, Tootie Smith. Commissioner Shaw, Commissioner West, Commissioner Savas, and last but not least, Commissioner Martha Schroeder. I'm going to read a couple of questions that were submitted to me early so we can get started. And I would like to ask the commissioners to let me know which one of you would like to answer the questions as they are asked, and to please try to keep your responses to 2 to 3 minutes. Okay? First question, what are the realistic chances that the legislature pushes through tolling? 50, 50, 10. Go right ahead.
Without the work of everybody in this room to make their voices heard in Salem, in the governor's office, and in ODOT, tolling will most likely happen. But we gotta fight it. I'm asked all the time, why do we need tolling? My answer is, we do not. You've got a $121.7 billion state biennium budget. I've asked the Secretary of State to talk to the state audit department about auditing ODOT. You have to know where the money is in Salem before you can even begin to think about another tax. Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Savas.
Give you my sense of this. I've heard a number of state leaders say, if not tolling, then what? And as long as we have a long list of big, huge mega projects that the region needs to alleviate some of the traffic and enhance commerce in this state, in this region, we can dig all we want. And I think that we might find some money in an audit from ODOT, but I can tell you I'm very confident fiscally from what the view shed I've seen that there's not enough money in their current budget, even if there was a 20% fluff to make up the difference to build all these big projects. So we got to come up with an answer, and that's for the legislators to do. So I say it's 50-50, tolling comes back.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
So you guys hear me? Clackamas County didn't just stop tolling once, but it paused it twice. Your local government, working with the 16 cities, galvanized together so that we could flex our local muscle to say, not in our community, this isn't fair, this tolling scheme is not gonna work, and it's gonna negatively impact our communities. I can see mayors in the room like Mayor Tom Ellis that was in that fight with us, and Commissioner David and others in this room that are elected. We worked hard at a local level to be creative, to be smart, and to make sure that our constituents were being represented, even when the legislature wouldn't allow you to have a hearing to talk about this issue. And they stopped you from going to your house to speak about it. Clackamas County and your local cities all work together very effectively to make sure that we are doing whatever we can to stop tolling in Clackamas County. And that's what good local government does, is it represents the people closest to it, and that's you guys.
I'd just like to add one comment. It's the first time in the history of the county I saw all 16 cities on the same page with this. It was rather a miracle in many ways, but I think we're all aligned with that, and I do think the legislature will have to look at other mechanisms. It's pretty obvious to all of us.
Okay, thank you all. And it has been brought to my attention that these commissioners may want to have an opening statement. And I jumped the gun a little bit on the first, so we're going to count that as a warm-up question. And we're going to back up, and we're going to start at the end with Commissioner Schrader and let everybody have a chance to make their opening statement. So we want to start, never mind, we want to start with the chair. Okay. Do you want to hear?
I'll stand. Well, you're keeping us on our toes today. I have to say that. Thank you all for having us this afternoon. This group is one of my most favorite groups, really, in the entire county, because you're the movers and the shakers, and you're the employers, and you're the business people, and you're the nonprofits, and we have a hospital. And everybody in this room makes the society work in Clackamas County. And I think about our business community a lot. How can Clackamas County help you with what you need? And you know what businesses in Clackamas County need most to be successful and thrive? Land. Land. That's what I'm going to focus on today. The Board of County Commissioners keeps a keen eye on issues surrounding land use. We strive to take full advantage of our employment lands to retain and attract businesses. And believe me when I say businesses want to come to Clackamas County from Portland and Multnomah County because it's a favorable climate here for them. However, we have found ourselves frustrated at Metro's urban reserves designations. Their rules and regulations often make it extraordinarily difficult for our county to expand or redesignate our land base for opportunities and our business needs. Last year, over the objection of the Board of County Commissioners, Metro exchanged 500 acres of our county's designated urban growth land, which is very valuable to us, with rural land. Now, Washington County is using that designated urban land for development. I said it then, and I'll say it again. Clackamas County is not willing to be a donor county while other jurisdictions expand their housing and jobs land inventory at the sacrifice of Clackamas' great land base. Thank you. I'll quote a letter that the board sent to Metro at the time. It's, quote, Metro must explain how the Metro 2040 plan will be implemented to ensure Clackamas County has land, especially shovel-ready industrial land, available to support the economic future of our county and our region. That was sent a year and a half ago. We're still waiting for an answer. We asked to negotiate, but in the end, we got nothing. We're looking at strategic opportunities to position Clackamas County in a way that we will not be passed over again. We wanted Metro to fund a study, work together with Metro to identify key employment and industrial land in Clackamas County, and reform the urban growth boundary management team. I personally sat down with President Lynn Peterson to discuss this at many different opportunities. Well, Chair, you know what, you need these cities over here, and you need this, and we're not really willing to. Just says, Lynn, we can do a study. What is a study gonna hurt? Well, we wanna ask these questions, and we don't wanna ask these questions, and I wanna do it over here, but I don't wanna do it over here. Basically, they wanna control Clackamas County and control the outcome of the study to favor Metro. Yeah. I'll tell you something, Clackamas County has some carryover lottery funds. We've been very frugal with our lottery funds. So we're probably going to develop our own study, pay for it for ourselves, ask the questions that we want answers to while engaging all of the cities and the business community in this county to get what we need to be prosperous. And we have a phrase that the commissioners like to use. It's called the Clackamas way. Land, that's my priority going forward. And that's what I'm most interested in discussing with you, not just today, but the months ahead. And what does the county need to do so our businesses get the land they need? And how can we work together to support housing production? I'm not talking affordable housing, which is so very important and which we have successful programs addressing that. I'm talking about the houses that residents can afford to buy, that your kids can afford to buy, that our retirees can afford to buy in their retirement. And to that end, I'll go back to the land use laws and share some of my own connections and experiences and frustration with Oregon's land use. And you may not know this, I was first elected in the year 2000 in the Oregon legislature, where I sat on Ways and Means for 4 solid years, from 8:30 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon, and it was boring and it was awful. I was younger, and I learned much about government budgets and what to do and what to not do. And I feel fortunate to bring that experience to Clackamas County, working with our wonderful fiscal staff and our budget people. But I'm a farmer. And it's important to me to be a farmer because I think our community should be able to feed ourselves. Society should be protecting our small farms and making it easier for our farmers to prosper, because right now they all are struggling. State land use laws are a barrier to what are called value-added farm products. And let me say that again. This is a term that's going to be coming out next year. Value-added farm products. And I'll use myself as an example. I'm a 4th generation Clackamas County farmer. If my daughter wanted to take over the farm, she'd be the 5th. She says, no thanks, Mom. Unfortunately, therein lies the issue for our ability to be able to feed ourselves. We grow hazelnuts on the family farm. We plant the trees and we harvest the nuts and we abide by all the state regulations. Our nuts, we sell our nuts to an exporter, a seller, and they sell those on the open market and they make a profit of about 80%. Yeah, no kidding. That profit, at least part of it, should go to the farmers. Why don't I simply sell the product myself? Because my zoning on my farm is ag forestry. And per state law, I would be against the law in processing and selling my own nuts. And doing so would bring more regulations, rules, and costs if I was ever to get approved. I'm interested in finding a solution so Clackamas County can preserve and enhance more generational family farming. So, Clackamas County, we can feed ourselves. Clackamas County has airports, roads, and several freeways where we can transport these goods. We're going to fight for the most robust level of prosperity our residents can have. And thank you for having me here today.
Good afternoon. I'd like to talk to you today about forest resources and short-term rentals. Our county is being cheated out of the God-given natural resources that we have in some over 700,000 acres of prime timber resource lands. Since 1990, in the advent of the Endangered Species Act, we've seen harvests in our state on some 30 million acres plummet to less than 1/3 of what it was in 1989. What does this mean to the economy of this county and this state? Well, I can tell you, it means that we've lost hundreds of thousands of jobs, some directly employed in harvesting, milling, transportation of our lumber, and probably 3 times that many jobs lost in supportive services, equipment, hardware sales. The lady who runs the town cafe to feed the loggers in the morning. What's happened is a disgrace, and it's going to take everybody in this room to fight to undo the harm that's happened. Okay, so out of the 30 million acres in Oregon that are timber resource lands, about a third is owned by private and corporate land holdings. Now, those private and corporate lands, they harvest 70% of the fiber grown on their lands every year. They cut every day, it goes to the mills, and it sustains the remaining mills we do have. Remember, in Clackamas County, because of the restrictions in harvest over the years, we're down to 2 primary mills down around the Malala area. And we got to keep them, because if we lose them, we're going to be hard pressed to find somebody to come back and invest $250 million to set up a new mill. So right now in Clackamas County, we have, like I said, almost 700,000 acres of land. Now, of that, only a small portion is managed by the Oregon Department of Forestry, less than 10,000 acres of our 700,000 acres. But in solidarity with those counties in Oregon that have hundreds of thousands of acres of ODF managed land, we have to work and try to support them too. So recently, ODF has made a plan to expand the no harvest areas in the Habitat Conservation Plan. They think that's going to help preserve endangered species. I argue with that, because unless our forests are managed and harvested in a wise way, a sustainable way, they will burn. And what we see happening now is that the tremendous growth we have, especially in Clackamas County, our timberlands are extremely productive. And what's happening is the density of the stands of timber is getting greater and greater all the time due to lack of harvest. And in the BLM and U.S. Forest Service managed lands in Clackamas County, only 8% of the annual fiber is harvested. In other words, only 8% of what could be of our potential sustainable harvest, only 8% is harvested. And why is that? It's because bureaucrats in Washington, D.C., who are administering the Endangered Species Act, and it seems to get more restrictive all the time, who've never been out here, don't really know a lot about our own forests, are making these laws. So we all need to fight to return to an Oregon that has got a diverse economy, not just a chips economy, but an economy where a man can get a job, raise a family, and do a job in the woods that many of us liked. I enjoyed being a logger when I was working my way through college. It's a lot different than being a chip manufacturer. We got to fight the feds, we got to fight the state. It's our natural resources, and this is our county, it's our economy. On short-term rentals, when I became a commissioner in 2021, we began to get a lot of concern from constituents about the rise in the number of short-term rentals in Clackamas County. Let me share an example. One lady came into her business meeting and she said that she had a house, a retirement home, 30 seconds remaining. Your clock's too fast. Okay, real quickly. We're working we've done a regulation to try to regulate and make some sense to short-term rentals. It's come along pretty well. We're soon going to have a software where we can monitor the internet for people who are advertising to make sure they're registered. This is a big deal. We got a 2-year pilot on this. I'm happy to say we're getting less and less complaints all the time. But what we've gone from is a lady who one weekend had a wedding with 80 people in the house next door and a party with 100 people on this side. That doesn't happen in Clackamas County anymore, thanks to the regulation that the Board of Commissioners did. So my time is up, and I'm always punctual, whereas Tootie Smith, she likes to go a little bit longer, Tootie. Shame on you, okay? You're 30 seconds over. No, I'm just kidding you. Okay, thanks a lot.
Good afternoon. My name is Ben West, Clackamas County Commissioner. Thanks for having all of us here today. This is a highlight for all of us every single year. And today I get to talk to you about something that I'm quite passionate about. Some of you might have heard me talk about it before, but I have had the great pleasure and honor of being involved in dealing with our housing, homelessness, and substance abuse issue in the metro area. And as a nurse, that's why I wanted to be a county commissioner, because the counties are the boots on the ground where we deliver care, not just in the community, but at the bedside and in people's homes. And so I'm quite honored to be able to be a part of that. It didn't take long to hit the ground running when I became a county commissioner, and I helped this county, along with my colleagues, quickly establish a recovery-oriented system of care. It was a very purposeful worldview that we didn't see a lot in Oregon, but you heard the chair say it, we want to do it the Clackamas way. Around this time last year, this board passed my resolution to support such a system to combat ongoing addictions, mental health, and homeless crises. We realized that much of the community wasn't healthy and they deserved care. We believe that recovery is possible in Clackamas County and that all of us are called to care for our neighbors. We were trailblazers with this system in Oregon, which was a coordinated network of community-based services and supports centered on the individual patient or client. We believe, once again, that in Clackamas County, recovery is possible and people deserve the care they need. For far too long, residents suffering from addiction have been stuck in a hamster wheel of endless despair. It goes round and round and round. You get Narcan quite a few times, but you never get out of the hamster wheel. And that's also common throughout the metro area. But in Clackamas County, we wanted to give hope. And we wanted to not just allow people to live in that state, but give them the opportunity to believe that healing was possible in their lives. Whether you represent a business, a faith group, a nonprofit, whether you're one of the electeds in this room, we are all stakeholders here in solving this problem. We all have a responsibility for our neighbor and our community to not allow the Portland metro area to fall into despair and to be the laughing stock of the nation. Today's host, North Clackamas Chamber, and so many of you are from the business community. These crises are business issues. When I think about a business-friendly environment, I don't picture people sleeping in doorways. I picture livable, thriving communities. This board is taking real steps to find real solutions and building off our recovery summit that we convened. Now, we saw a lot of bad policies coming out of Salem and Multnomah County that we didn't think was the Clackamas County way. So we built relationships globally, regionally, and nationally, and brought in some of the best thought leaders and people with lived experience to help us chart a different path in Clackamas County. And we came out with real policy solutions from that effort. And one of the great ideas you guys keep hearing about recently is Clackamas County is looking to build a multi-acre recovery campus. From street-level homelessness to self-sufficiency and full hope around the whole care continuum is going to be built here in Clackamas County. Nothing else like it in the state. The Future Recovery Center is a critical component to our vision and is one of the board is excited about because people experiencing overdose or drug-induced behavioral health problems don't get better in jails or emergency rooms. And there's more. This summer, we'll be opening the Lake Road Health Clinic that we just invested millions of dollars in the Milwaukee area. This outpatient facility will provide a special mental health and substance abuse disorders to those that need it. And not done yet. Next year, we expect to open the Crisis Stabilization Center in Milwaukee to provide direct access to care and treatment when people are in their greatest need or in a mental health crisis or drug psychosis. Let's be clear. Clackamas County has done it much different than the rest of the state, and the evidence is in, it demands a verdict, and we've done a real good job. Clackamas County has reduced homelessness by 65% from 2019 to 2023. That's not just point in time counts. That's because we have people in the streets actively engaging with this community, knowing who they are, where they are, what their names are, and not just handing them a sandwich, but giving them opportunities for hope, housing, healing, and recovery. I did this last time, I'm gonna do it again. If you are a service provider in this community, I see you glaring at me, Brandy, so you're gonna have to just deal with this. Stand up and let us recognize you for the hard work you do every day with this population. Loved ones, bodies, heart. These are the heroes that are helping us make these things possible. They're the reason why we have a 65% decrease in homelessness. And also our staff in housing and homeless services are brilliant in leading the metro area on how to get these things accomplished. In the last fiscal year, we placed 665 people into permanent housing. We prevented evictions for 643 people. We provided 676 people with rental assistance, and we served 788 people through emergency and transitional shelters like the Veterans Village, and I never do good with the time, like the Veterans Village. And then we have a new service provider because we were opening up almost like a sister type of project right next door to it, where we will be able to house more additional people and use the modeling of successes like the Veterans Village moving forward. I want to end with this as Multnomah County. This also because we've been able to deal with this issue, we continue to be one of the safest counties in the entire state. I love my frequent conversations with our very competent and talented DA. I don't know if you're here, John Willard, but you're doing a great job. And I want to let you guys know that Clackamas County, despite all the challenges in the Portland metro area, is the safest county in Oregon out of all the counties with more than 90,000 residents. And we are still part of the Portland metro area as we see an increase in homicides and property damage and personal crimes. Clackamas County has a different culture. We're 0.5% of Multnomah County, so the residents of Multnomah County, though, are twice as likely to be a victim of crime. That same percentage also makes us the 8th safest county in Oregon overall. There's a lot of counties smaller than us that you would think would be safer than us, but we're in the top 10 safest counties here in the Portland metro area by statistics and data from the Oregon State Police. We are safe, we are a friendly place to do business, we are open for business, and we also provide hope and healing to those that need it because we are not content with stepping over people in our streets or allowing them to sleep in a business doorway, but we are working to solve the problem the Clackamas County way, the local way. And now I'd like to introduce my friend and fellow colleague, Commissioner Savas. Thank you.
Hello again. Welcome everyone. I love this venue. This is probably one of my favorite events of the entire year, every year. So it's great to be back. Great to see you all. Going to talk about our favorite subject a little bit more in detail, and that's our transportation tolling challenges we're facing. But we're all fortunate, my colleagues and I, that the governor made the decision she made here several weeks ago with regard to put the pause on the tolling process. And the earlier question was around what the likelihood of it coming back, and I mentioned it's probably 50-50. I think we need to make sure that we understand that we need to be active, keep our coalitions together, and we have not taken our foot off the gas, but it's close. I mean, we're paying attention, we're working hard on this, but I think a lot of credit goes out to all of the people here probably in the room that advocated, our staff that did a great job, the cities, the partnership, Clackamas County Coordinating Committee. It's been 24 years since existence. That played a strong role. Our coalition with the cities played a strong role. Our coalition with other counties and cities, leaders, elected leaders in this also played a role. And we have just a great coalition. Chambers of Commerce played a big role in this. So shout out to all of you. It was a team effort, and we're gonna have to remain firm and strong. But at the same token I think we're gonna have to be solution oriented. I kind of alluded to that earlier, that we need to find a way in these inflationary times to either take projects off the table or find a way to fund the projects that the region wants and needs. Clackamas County has had a history of being redheaded stepchild, or not really getting the projects, or not really getting the land, as the chair talked about, being a donor county. And I don't want to cry, I don't want to be a crybaby here in the room, but the reality is that we are the smallest of the 3 counties, and we have another big, powerful jurisdiction, the city of Portland. So they have a tremendous amount of political influence, and we have a governor who takes a lot of pride in the city of Portland. I don't blame her. Right now, the focus for Clackamas County is going to take a lift from all of us to advocate. And I think we have a lot of great prizes, we have a lot of great opportunity, we have a lot of successes to build on. But my appeal to you today is all of you to try to get involved at the right time, at the right place, to help advocate for the needs of Clackamas County. COVID has hit us really hard with our committees, our members, our active business committee, people on the street that volunteer. We're part of our huge volunteer group on committee. So I ask you all to look around and look at each other and think about, looking at openings for the Clackamas County on some of our committees to be more involved, because now we need your advocacy more than ever, because as this transportation issue grows, we're gonna need some advocacy. We need to show some leadership in this topic. One of the big pluses I want to talk about a little bit here is that the Sunrise Corridor, we got $4 million from the state legislature to study the Sunrise Corridor, the Sunrise Gateway project. Jamie Stasny's in the back of the room. She's the project manager. Could you please stand up, Jamie, so people know who you are? She's done a great job, and the Sunrise Corridor has been one of our projects that I believe is a catalytic project for Clackamas County. We've been advocating for this project for over 40 years. It's a long time to not get a project. We did at the JTA back in the late 2000s, got the JTA package passed in the state legislature. We got some projects built, phase 1 of Sunrise, but phase 2, very critical piece. And I know that if Diana Helm was here today, she'd be smiling too, because it's something that as mayor or even a business owner, we really want to see that happen. I believe land and transportation are catalytic to making things happen. Without transportation, without a boulevard, you're not going to be able to make that happen. So that's huge. So back to the tolling. As I mentioned earlier, the governor, the state leaders are saying, if not tolling, then what? We have found out from our financial analysis that it's probably not the most financially feasible way. Administrative cost is so high, and it was centralized on the metro region or Clackamas County. We shouldn't have to fund problems in the state. And that's the way it was looking. I call it the cake. It was layered cake. Because people said, well, tolling, and it got so confusing. So the governor technically only canceled what was called RMPP, Regional Mobility Pricing Project. That was the last piece to come. So while it looked good, and while it happened the day before filing for elections, by the way, and knowing this election year, it was timely, right? But in reality, the core issue was the I-205 Abernathy project. They still don't know how they're going to fund that. That's actually a topic for the Oregon Transportation Committee this coming Thursday. So we'll see how that goes. I hope that they find a way to fund it, but there is a gap out there. So we'll work hard together to find a solution to that. So I've taken a lot of time. I appreciate you all being here, and I look forward to the additional questions. Thank you.
It's great to see so many friends and faces here, so I'm going to ask a favor of you today. And that is, I recently sent out a mailer, and it had an endorsement on it that I didn't receive, and it was a typo. So I would like to introduce the person who received that endorsement and apologized to her. Dana, will you stand up? Let's give you a hand, okay? The reason I'm doing this is because it's the plumbers and steam fitters, and as many of you know, I have 3 kids in the plumbers and steam fitters, and they won't talk to me anymore if I don't make this right. So Dana, I'm so sorry. Thank you for being gracious. And also, Amy, you're adorable. I just love working with you too. And I hope I bring a new notion of civic responsibility and how we treat one another, particularly during years when campaigning can be very difficult. So thank you. But now, what I'm really here to talk about is economic development. Clackamas County's Office of Economic Development exists to provide leadership, market research, planning, and more to businesses so they can locate or expand their operations in Clackamas County. And I don't see Laura Edmonds. Is Laura here today? There she is, yay. Let's give you a hand too, Laura, because she's a lady. The good news is we got Laura, but you now have Jay, so that's another good thing that's happening here. 2 stellar people working to improve our business landscape in the county. And there are more excellent people from Oregon City, Westland, Canby, and other cities as well. So let me give you an idea of what we did just last month that I'm very excited about. Thanks to Laura's innovation, we have approved 2 new business-oriented grant programs. We believe that they will have a real impact to economic development, business expansion, and retention in this county. Each of these programs, the workforce development grants and the business development grants, will be funded through a portion of the state lottery funds we receive. First, the workforce development grants will fund scholarships for students enrolled in career and technical education courses at Clackamas Community College. These students, yay! And the Clackamas County students there are pursuing careers in industries such as agriculture, timber, healthcare, manufacturing, automotive, utilities, business management, renewable energy, and information technology. So we have invested $70,000 through a similar program last year and supported 58 students in 22 accredited programs, and we're setting aside $100,000 for this effort this coming fiscal year. And Chair, I'm going to give you some credit for that because you came up with the idea first. So I'm glad you could do that. I'm personally very happy to relay that part of the scholarships can be put towards child care costs while students are attending courses. And that is something that I care passionately about. One of the things that Tina Irvine and I have found out when we worked on our workforce board together is that barriers to childcare prevent people from getting to work. It prevents them from succeeding. And I'm proud to say that our folks at the county just applied for a grant from Housing and Urban Development so we can get more kids into daycare, and it's the first time that HUD has actually pulled together that program. That's going to be a real success getting people to work. Okay, let's go on a little bit about the college, because the college does a great job in providing support while adult learners are completing their new career courses. We've learned from our trade sector businesses and our smaller businesses that, again, childcare is a barrier for them to go into workforce. And I'm continuing to do research on how we can expand childcare capacity in this county. I have visited every kindergarten in the county, and I am continuing to visit every private daycare center to see how they're doing it and how we can help them succeed. The second program that we've approved are our business development grants, because we know that businesses want access to tools to support retention, expansion, growth, and workforce development. These business development grants will provide for capital investments in existing traded sector businesses looking to relocate, expand, or retain their operations in Clackamas County. The budget for this program is $600,000 for the coming fiscal year. Awards will be situational based on a business's unique need to establish, maintain, or grow a business in Clackamas County. So this will help businesses support capital, and capacity improvements, support workforce growth and development, leverage other funding through match grants, and support retention of businesses in Clackamas County. The Board of County Commissioners will approve all final funding awards. Please, to everyone here, visit www.clackamas.us/business for more information as the program is being finalized. Just a few examples here as well. There's more that the board has done for the business community, such as using our American Rescue Plan Act or ARPA funds to help businesses. Just a few examples, we provided nearly $1.3 million to cover state-mandated restaurant inspection licensing fees, or how we obligated more than $735,000 for a workforce training program for unemployed workers. We also invested over $10 million into expanding our broadband infrastructure project. And with that, we are covering more than 1,100 additional households, allowing more reliable connectivity for residents to telecommute, conduct health appointments, and more. Well, I'm getting the 30-second sign over there, so I have to stop. But I would like to tell you something just real quick that has just happened and is very exciting to me. I've been chosen by the National Association of Counties to be part of their Economic Mobility Prosperity Initiative, and we are focusing right now on rural counties. So I'm evaluating, after I'm done here this afternoon, projects from other counties across the nation that we're going to try and pull together and really get best practices for our rural communities. And that was quite an honor for me to get that at the national level. I'm just so pleased I can do it. And it's going to help not only what we do here, but to help other counties across this nation. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our commissioners and chair for those opening remarks. Always nice to hear. And now we'll get back to the real question and answer session. The next question that we have is, what will the commissioners push for from the legislature next year to help our businesses here in Clackamas County? Any volunteers to go first?
Well, I'll start. Commissioner Schrader and I have already decided to work on a farming initiative. And I mentioned it earlier, and we kind of came up with this idea at the same time. The state land use laws are just not too friendly for farmers, and so it's called value added to farm products. And we're very serious about it, we're very excited about it. We have done some outreach, and so has Commissioner Schrader, on getting that to be a legal business proposition. You've heard of agritourism, correct? That's just another name for it. Well, we have our wonderful tourism department, and others say, do value added, just, do some agritourism or have an education opportunity on your farm or do some tours and do this. Well, guess what? It may not be copacetic with the zoning laws that are on the books, and then some of our farmers get sideways with that. And we don't want to be punitive to somebody in their business who's trying to think outside the box to bring more revenue to their farm, that farms only produce on a seasonal basis. And when I say we need the ability to be able to feed ourselves, by adding value to that farm, will enable the farmer to keep growing the foods that you want to eat. So that's one thing that Commissioner Schrader and I are working on, and let other commissioners have a shot.
Yeah, could I just make a quick comment about that too? I think we're going to be looking at legislation because the winery industry has enabled their land use in order to do all kinds of other events and things of that sort. So I hope that we can look at a similar model. So some of the small farms that are doing tours and having people on there, like the Tulip Farm, TMK Creamery, are able to do their business there in a way that helps them succeed as smaller farms.
Thank you. Commissioner Schultz?
Yes, one thing that our legislators could do for a small business is to get rid of the low-down, crawling, stinking, lousy tax called the corporate activity tax. And the next thing they can do for us is indirectly stimulate business in Clackamas County, is to begin to formulate a real vision for the Sunrise Corridor all the way to Highway 26, and all the planning that comes with it, the zoning that comes with it, the potential for new businesses, potential for new residences. But the cat tax, that's got to go first.
Thank you. Commissioner Savis?
Yeah, so what the legislature has told us that they want to talk about is going to be the big thing for the next session, the 2025 transportation package. And whether that is, comes in the modest form of actually fulfilling the promised projects of HB 2017, which are still not completed or even started for the most part. That is the bottleneck lanes on I-205. The Abernathy Bridge, you're seeing construction there, but that's just the bridge. There's still another 7 miles of construction there to be done. No funding identified. The other one's the Rose Corridor. That's a big deal. Those are 2 HB 2017 projects, and I think the governor has, their staff have said that, and they feel, and the Joint Transportation Committee members have said, we need to fulfill those obligations first. So, but we need to find the money, back to my earlier comments. So that'll be the focus. Now, whether or not there's a piling on of other projects, that usually happens. But I think those are fundamental and primary that we at least fulfill the last obligation. They took our money, so to speak. They charged us the gas tax. A total of 10 cents has been added on to the gas tax. And they need to fulfill those projects. But inflation because of COVID and all the other economic things, honestly, we got to reconcile that as well.
Commissioner West?
You have a healthy community, you have a prosperous community. You guys may have heard about this in the news a lot, but ambulances aren't making their times when their call times when they need to be somewhere when someone calls 911. There's a number of reasons for that, but Clackamas County had worked really diligently over at least the last year and a half with AMR to figure out real solutions and not just find them or yell at them or go to the media about them, but be collaborative with our first-hand responders. So instead of finding them, they took those funds and they turned them into scholarships. That was Chair Tootie Smith's idea. It was brilliant. And now we have more and more paramedics coming through the pipeline about to graduate because of that creative idea that our chair brought before this board. We weren't done yet. I served the United States Navy as an officer, and I work with a lot of corpsmen. And I was like, gosh, a lot of these guys have qualifications. I bet you they could work on an ambulance. But there's some educational barriers and there's some licensure issues on the state level. So myself, Commissioner Schrader, and along with Tootie Smith began to advocate down in Salem to try to figure out, hey, how can we create a bridge program that's unique in the nation to get people on ambulances? Now, Multnomah County unnecessarily believes they have to hoard all of the paramedics and have 2 on every single ambulance, but that's not the case. And that's not the best practice. But we wanted to make sure that we were able to respond to call times in the time that we should, while dealing not only with the real reality of an increased demand and still not we have an increased demand and still only so many resources, but we also have geographical realities. We worked with Estacada Fire to figure out so they could partner with Clackamas Fire. So workforce issues, making sure you have a healthy community, that 911 shows up when it calls, and be collaborative and not antithetical to our first-hand responders. I think that will help businesses, and I'm proud of the county's work on that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on to another question. This one says, the daily backup on 212 is terrible. When will we see some relief? Commissioner Savage.
Well, the 2 priorities for Clackamas County when it comes to transportation has been the I-205 issue, the bottleneck, and most importantly, the Sunrise Corridor. And I really think that at the end of the day, if the state legislatures abandon us in the region, the anti-lane people that believe that adding lanes is somehow terrible, if that proves to be a case, then I guess we're gonna have to put all our eggs in the Highway 212 basket. I mean, for those of you who travel, I don't know, if you're in Gresham and you shoot over 282nd, 242nd on the 212, and at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you drive towards Highway I-205 on the 212 corridor, it's miles of backup. It doesn't really let up. Maybe you're lucky if it lets up at 122nd. But, it's funny that it lets up at 122nd because that's really the beginning or the end of the Sunrise Expressway, phase 1, right? So we fixed it to that point, but we got to work on that, and we need all your help. And Jamie, I pointed out, Jamie, she stood up earlier. We're doing that project as far as our outreach. We're working with Metro, City Happy Valley, everyone in this room. Please help us attend some of these events. We got to show advocacy. We got to show support for that, not only to the state, but also to our local Metro leaders as well.
Thank you. And we've got about 1 minute left if any of the other commissioners want to jump in on this question.
I just want to give a shout out to Happy Valley because they're our fastest growing city, and I think that corridor is going to be essential to open up, as the chair said earlier, available land for businesses and expansion. And help us out, folks. That's all I have to say, Mayor Tom. Okay.
Thank you to all the commissioners. I wish we had time to answer all of these questions, but we just don't. And I would like to make sure that they've all got their 1 minute each to do their wrap-up comments. So, yes, Commissioner Smith.
There are two questions here that went unanswered, and I'm going to try to answer both of them at the same time because they came forward obviously for a reason. Can the county do something better to support farmers? How are you doing? And will commissioners push for the legislatures to help businesses during the next year? Clackamas County is an export county. That means all the goods we produce are shipped outside the county. We have a huge manufacturing sector. As I said, we have huge farming sector, timber sector. They all go outside the county to be exported. My hazelnuts go to Asia. But guess what? With the closing of the terminal in Portland, Terminal 6, that's going to stop. The legislators need to get with it, and they need to make sure the Port of Portland is exporting goods out of Oregon. Every other port in America can be profitable. Why can't the Port of Portland turn their bottom line around and get back into the business to help every single person in this state? So if I had to do one thing, it would be getting the Port of Portland's terminals back open.
60 seconds. Tolling.
Wasn't that 60 seconds?
Yeah, you did good. Tolling. Not no, but hell no. Never. Cut government, not your business bottom line. Don't cut into the family budget anymore. And we must cut the excessive taxes we have in the state. This tax-heavy state. You want to stimulate business, cut taxes, make it a business-friendly state once again, bring in new business, stimulate the economy that way, not through taxation. Thank you very much. 61 seconds.
You know, I use this analogy all the time, but it's super important. We're the government closest to you. We're that local government that's most responsive to you. We are most accountable to you. A lot of things happen in the state and the federal level, and then the counties are here having to deal with it, and we have to figure out a way to make it happen, and we're the boots on the ground. And we're committed to making sure that we do good local government. I use another analogy, it was the pothole analogy. They're all different sizes of potholes. But it's our job to show up and fill them as a county often. We have, how many miles of road do we have, Chair? Like 1,400, 1,500 miles of county road. But potholes analogy for a problem. We talked about a lot of problems. And I think that there's a lot of things to be happy with right now where your county's filled those potholes to begin to make big headway and do our job and show good nonpartisan local leadership. And I look forward to working with these individuals moving forward to figure out how to fill the potholes in this county, big and small, to show you that what good government looks like and be responsive to your needs as businesses and as residents.
So I want to spend my time here on the one question that hasn't been addressed, and that is why is there such a litter problem on roadsides in our county, urban and rural? That's a big deal for me, actually. Been a personal one that's bugged me for years, for decades. Most all of us own property, and there's a road out in front of our property, whether you're a business or a private owner. I think it's frankly, in this world that we live in, it's our responsibility to clean up the front of our business or our home. I did that when I had my storefront on McLaughlin Boulevard, and I do that at my home. And I think if we all took the personal responsibility of helping, and maybe there's neighbors that aren't able to take care of their property, and we pitch in at times to help those people out. But this is an issue. Sometimes they're ODOT roads, I get that, but the property, typically the policy is that the property in front of your business is your responsibility, or your home is your responsibility. So that's my goal. I've been talking to some CPOs about this, community planning organizations, about how we make our area look better. And some cities do a great job of keeping their streets clean and beautiful, and they're attractive and people want to live there. It's just a big lift. And by the way, the weeds are growing right now, so now's the time to start chopping them down. Commissioner?
How can I follow chopping weeds down in Ocean Garden? Okay, I think I can. Well, I'd like to end, I can talk about economic development all day long, the business expansion and retention, but I'd also like to give a shout out to the staff and the folks that work in the county that have really helped us reduce houselessness in this county by 65%. It's because they do supportive case management that's absolutely phenomenal. We have programs for regional long-term rent assistance, short-term rent assistance, eviction prevention, housing placement and navigation, emergency shelter and transitional housing, as well as homeless outreach. We have seen a dramatic, and some of those providers are here today, I see you there, Brandy, of our provider network and services to address homelessness in our county. These new contracts are really producing tremendous outcomes. Before the Supportive Housing Services Fund, Clackamas County was placing just tens of people a year in permanent supportive housing. Now we've placed 665 people into permanent housing, prevented over 600 evictions, provided over 600 people with rent assistance, and served close to 800 people with emergency and transitional shelter like the Veterans Village. We are going to continue with that success for the people that need housing in this county. Oftentimes they're the most vulnerable folks that we serve. And it is a key piece of what we do as commissioners, is to make sure our constituents have food, clothing, shelter, good jobs, and can be participating citizens in a democracy. Thank you, guys.
Okay, so thank you, commissioners. Thank you, Donna, for pitch hitting. I really appreciate it. But I appreciate what you're doing to make sure that the chamber is healthy, our community is flourishing, and we have advocacy up and down. I really appreciate you for coming out.